start remembering your name. Hold on, wait till he tells you to go.
Calm
You
down
do
there.
it for me?
Oh, there you go.
Does that help you?
Okay, ready? Go.
My name is Romney, and this is Bowers Farm. This chick is named. This chick is Rhode Island Red, and this duck is Muscovy. And did you know a duck has a bill, and a chicken has a beak, and the chicken doesn't have something in between their three feet, and a duck does.
Fantastic. Thank you. Wow. Awesome. So what do you call this place in here? What's this
What's the
back
name
here?
of this?
It's the brooder.
And what do you do in the brooder? What's the brooder's job?
To keep the chickens warm.
To keep the chickens warm. Wow. And do you feed them in here?
Yeah.
Can you show us what what they eat? Are you able to do that? You can put those down. That's perfect.
It's this little it's this little kind of feed
Yeah.
this little
Crushed up,
crushed up.
maybe corn.
Like corn feed.
Awesome.
We're not eating it. It's cute.
Perfect. Thank you so much. How many ducks do you have? Do you have more chickens or more ducks? Is it a mixture?
More chickens.
More chickens. Okay.
You can share with them about the breeds of chickens and what color eggs they lay.
Oh, that would be good.
And Rhode Island Reds lay a brown one. And Buck Orpington is a yellow bird. And he lays a brown egg too. And Black Australorp lays a brown egg, and Barred Rock lays a brown egg, and Americana lays a blue greenish eggish.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
What do we raise all these for?
There we go.
Why do we have so many chickens?
Come on, stand over here. Get your shoulders open.
Yep.
And you get
Why do we raise so many of them? We sell them to-
Because we sell them to people who want some chickens to let them, they want free eggs.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, all right.
My name first, too.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Brandon Bowers, and this is Bowers Farm. We're inside of our brooder, and this is where we raise all of our little baby chicks and ducklings on the farm. For the first few weeks of their life, they need a certain amount of heat and to be protected from any outdoor elements and wind and stuff like that. And so we keep them inside of this brooder for a few weeks at that point. These are young laying hens. Right now they're 5 weeks old. We do have a couple ducklings in here as well. But they've been in here since they were a day old when they come to us to the farm. The heater keeps them good and warm. We've got bedding down on the ground, and that allows us to capture the manure and make sure that it doesn't become nasty for them. And also we take that bedding out and scoop it out and let it finish composting, and then we'll end up using that for our pastures. A few other things, we've got automated water down the side, so they have their waterers on the ends. Comes with this bulk tank, and we've got our feeders, and so roost poles are added in after they get to a certain age, so they can actually start to roost. But this building is relatively new for us, but trying to get the concepts of it and all the stuff automated so that we can do really well at raising these chicks. So if it gets to a certain temperature, the fans will come on and blow out any of the heat, and if it's too cool, then the heater starts to kick in and warm back up. So It's a really cool place for them to grow. They have an outdoor run on the far end, and so they can go outside once they get to a certain age, and it starts to get them used to being in the outdoors and the elements.
What's a young, like what are these called? Like chick, but also.
These are young chicks, but at this stage they're young hens that are actually called pullets, and so they would go into becoming full-grown laying hens. They start to lay around 18 to 22 weeks, and so we raise these each spring, and this year we'll do a few more batches, but we do each spring for folks that are interested in raising their own chickens in their backyard, using them for eggs, or other farms that are wanting to raise them that don't have a facility or something that's allowed them to do it, or have the time to work through the process of brooding them and keeping them warm. So it is a lot of work, but if we're doing it, it's a lot larger number. It allows us to be more efficient with it.
How old are these chicks?
These right here are 5 weeks old. So usually we start to sell them around that 5-week mark because they are then old enough to go without a heat lamp and do really well.
Cut. Car commercial part of this.
All right, this is our farm tractor, and we use it for a lot of different things on the farm, including taking feed to animals, moving animals, pulling these like field shelters you can see behind me. We've used it for planting seed, spreading manure or compost out of our brooder or other places out onto our fields, and so this is really a key piece of equipment for us. We have the front end loader as well that is able to have lots of different attachments, from the hay spear to forks to this grapple that's on it right now, and comes into handy with lots of all kinds of different projects that we're working on the farm.
We're filming, so anytime you want to start.
Okay.
Good.
Hey, I'm Sarah Bowers, and we're at Bowers Farm. Part of the work we do raising livestock is for meat, so that most of the animals raised on our farm are produced for meat for our family and yours. One of the things we love the most about our farm is sharing it with others. We actually have a space that we rent out for people to come and stay for a night or two or even longer. We also let campers or RVs or these recreational vehicles, people who are pulling around their homes behind them, come and stay as well. We do field trips and we do tours for all different kinds of groups. We love having people out here because we know that not everybody gets to live on a farm, and we adore being able to share it with others and help them learn a little bit more about where their food comes from. And after you do it a bunch of times and they just teach you to just keep talking, something good will come. I just keep talking and something good will come. That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Love it. Hey, that was a one-take one.
I'm gonna film this part too.
problem is then they're gonna be too loud in the background.
Good.
So this is our flurd. It is a mix of a flock of sheep and a herd of cows, and we also have some goats in here as well. And basically, we rotate these across the pastures here on the farm because it's really good for them. They get a fresh paddock and a fresh salad bar of different stuff. And then what they do then is they allow when we move them off of the pasture. It allows the pasture to rest, allows the grass to regenerate, and it allows the soil to heal. And so this group here, we have just enough of the sheep, just enough of the goats to when we rotate into a new field, that they actually help to take down more of the brushy stuff, saplings, small briars, little things that are growing up in between the grass and stuff, or like some of the more weeds. And then the sheep and the cows both are grazers. And both of those graze differently, so they're not competing against each other. They're actually complementary to each other and do really, really well. So.
A cow, a sheep, or a goat, if it has horns, does that make it a boy?
Okay.
Good. Yes.
So one common misconception on cows or sheep or goats, for that matter, is that all the ones that have horns must be males, and that is not true. These 5 goats here behind me actually all have horns, and they're all females. Some of our cows in the back there have horns, and they're mostly all females as well. And our most recent herd bull that we had did not have any horns. So.
I think the science behind grass is really interesting. Do you think kids think it's interesting? It's all about like how it breaks off and stuff. I got you a really good woody piece that sticks up.
Is all grass made equal?
Well, and even this sounds crazy, but can you say this is a sheep, this is a goat? This
Yeah,
is like,
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we're
point, yeah.
talking,
Yeah, that's
we're
not
talking
crazy
kids.
because we get a lot of confusion with this stuff.
Yeah.
So this one over here,
Right there, don't
these
get
are
too close,
sheep
so I can-
and these are goats. So we'll paint them.
Okay. Perfect.
So these first 2 on this left side are actually sheep. They're a hair sheep, not a wool sheep, and so they actually blow their own coat instead of having to be sheared. And then these 3 are goats, as well as this one here is also. But another thing that folks always say is that goats will eat anything, even like tin cans. They do eat a lot of different stuff, but that is not true. They do have their preferred things that they want to eat. And then I can do the grass one. I guess
Perfect.
I don't think this is the perfect thing to do it because it doesn't.
I meant that like you could see
Oh.
it. It was
All
thick.
All right, I'll do it, and if you don't want to use it, you can.
Cool.
I
If
think
you
it's-
can you get as close as you can to
More.
an
Get close
animal
to your
so I
goat.
can.
Keep it in the background.
Oh yeah, that's what you're.
Eight are
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
And action.
when we rotate our animals from pasture to pasture, what we're allowing it to do is let the grass regenerate and regrow. And so as grass grows above the soil, it also has the equal amount of roots below the soil. And so then whenever an animal comes in and takes and clips that off, the plant actually cuts its roots off itself. It will absorb its energy back up into the top of the roots and then break off the rest of it. And that is how soil is actually created. Grass goes through a what's called a sigmoid curve, but it grows through a curve where in the beginning it might not be growing. Once the rest period starts, it may not grow very fast, so it's growing really slow in this beginning boot stage. And then it all of a sudden gets into a rapid growth stage, and it'll grow a lot every day, and it gets regrowth really quickly. And then it'll get to a point where it stops to grow and actually is fixing to get ready to put out like seed. And so we will really be in this stage between the two when we go back and actually graze that, because it's still in that rapid growth stage. And ideally we would graze it down where it's just above that boot stage, so that whenever we pull off of there, it's got a chance to regrow and do. And by grazing it at longer depths or longer heights, more grass there, of course, but it also is building that soil by breaking those roots off and actually creating more soil and better soil throughout. So the next time around is actually the grass and the grazing is even better than that last time. So.
And when you're talking grazing, what does that mean?
Grazing means that you're using some sort of grass. Hold on, let me do that again. So grazing means that you're using a herbivore that is actually eating grass. That's the term for them, is the graze. And so cows have 4-part stomach, and so it's able to take something that is green and the grass and the grass and the legumes that are in the pasture, and convert that into energy, and then actually use that to gain weight and produce a high protein, dense meat source. So they're able to take something that we couldn't take and eat and absorb. They take that product and turn it into something that ultimately we can process and eat and utilize. They graze really well.
Dirty, dirty, dirty.
Yeah, they love their mud. They actually, pigs can't sweat.
What?
Yeah, pigs can't sweat, so that's why a lot of times they're considered like a dirty animal, because they actually roll in the mud. But the mud is actually a way for them to cool down, and so they lay on that. And it actually, what they would prefer is to have like a full caked on layer of mud, because that actually protects their skin from getting so hot in the sun.
See that mud coat?
And then ours are out on pasture here to graze. I mean, they make some holes, root up some stuff, but they actually do graze out here on the grass as well.
Is this electric fence high enough to stop a raccoon from jumping over?
I don't think so.
That's exactly how high mine is, but that's how much wire I have.
Oh, okay. I don't think so. I think they probably would get through that. I don't know though. We may scare them enough where they won't. With all of them.
Okay, it's rolling anytime you want to start.
So should we start like over, like with our farm, like name?
Oh, sure.
I'm Brandon.
I'm Sarah.
We're part of Bowers.
We
You
didn't talk
do
about this. Yeah, you do.
Okay, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Sarah, and we're at Bowers Farm.
We started Bowers Farm in 2014, and the reason behind starting the farm originally was that we wanted to raise meats for our family, and we wanted to know how the animal was raised, what the animal was eating, and the environment that it was living in, and the way that it was done. And so we started by saying we were going to raise our own food, raise some of the meats for our family, and then it has developed into more than that, and we now raise food for other families as well, across our region and our area, and allows us to meet new folks and have the ability to provide them with the same style foods that we were talking about raising for ourselves.
Yeah, we want to raise our food in a way that cares for the animal and the whole cycle. So we want our animals to have the best life while they're here on the farm and to be able to express all of their natural instincts. So for instance, our pigs. Our pigs were created with a natural shovel on the front of their face. They are born and love to root around in the soil and their pasture, and so they're in a place where they're able to do that. Our chickens follow around our large hoofed animals to clear out the poop and to fertilize the pastures, and so we want everything to mimic nature and care for creation in a way that leaves it better than we came to be stewarding it.
Yeah. So a lot of times we say like our animals are working towards bettering the entire farm, except they don't really understand that they're working because they are actually doing what they were born and raised to do, or their like natural instincts of what they're doing. So birds naturally follow hoofed animals, like Sarah was saying. So in the Serengeti or one of those places where you see wild animals, wild grazing herds, there's lots of birds and things around that area. Oh, they might not be chickens, but there's a bird that is there for that same purpose. In our brooder that you'll see, we also ended up to incorporate our rabbits into there as well, because a lot like the same thing with the pigs, their natural instinct is to dig. And so when we need that bedding to be light and fluffy and not be compacted and wet, we're able to let the birds out into their run and then let the rabbits into the inside, and they actually dig and fluff that whole thing up for us instead of it having to be something that we do. They're naturally wanting to do it and allowing them access to it and allowing them to express themselves in a way that's natural for them. That's how you make bacon. You gotta water it, make it grow.